My record label didn't like that. They were like, keep it to the original, don't change. I was like, okay. And then I changed it. And then and people loved it. So I was like, woo!
Yeah. Poštovani gledaoci, sa nama je vice šampion pesme Eurovizije 2016. Dami. Hello Dami, I think I can say like on Eurovision. Good morning Australia.
Good morning.
So, how do you feel? What are you doing now? You are in studio, I see. Are you preparing some new songs maybe?
Yeah, so I mean, I've just released a new song that I've been working on last year and this year called Lonely Cactus, and I've also been working on my next album as well. So the computer's not actually on, but this is where I normally do my stuff. So yeah.
Can you tell us something more about Lonely Cactus? It has really interesting lyrics, especially.
Yeah, so I wrote Lonely Cactus last year during, I guess, lockdown and everything going on. And I was preparing for my release of my previous single called Paper Dragon. And while I was doing that, I was making lots of paper stuff. And then I made paper cactuses. And I became really obsessed with cactus, the cacti. And I thought, oh, maybe there's a song about, I could write a song about a cactus. And that's where it sort of came from, really random. I didn't know if it was going to work, but it's basically about how, we feel really lonely, and I want to make more friends because I'm so lonely, I'm by myself all the time. But then by the time I got out and hang out with my friends, I'm thinking, I want to go home, and I feel all like prickly and I just want to be alone. So it's like feeling those like both sides of the emotions. And the lyrics used to be I'm a lonely cactus, but we changed it to you're a lonely cactus because we can all think of somebody who's a bit like that, someone who's like prickly but also lonely but is mean to everybody. So yeah.
When we speak about Lonely Cactus, during this lockdown pandemic and everything, we actually had an opportunity to talk with ourselves a bit. So we probably found out many new things about us. So did you find some new hobbies or anything else? Except the paper things.
Paper things. Oh my gosh, I did that for a long time. Hobbies. I mean, I went through many different phases of hobbies. I was obsessed with making banoffee pies at one stage. Have you had a banoffee before?
I didn't hear it, definitely.
No, so it's like it's really easy. You like lots of bananas, caramel and cream, and you like stack it on top you put it in the fridge. So yum.
It's actually a sweet.
Sweet, yeah, it's like a cake or a pie. Yeah, so I was making that and I was like, oh, I'm amazing. I'm gonna bake now. And then after a while I was like, nah, I got sick of it. And so that's when I started making paper stuff, and then I don't really do that anymore. What else have I been doing? Now I just eat ice cream and I used to exercise like every day. Now I've gone back to like twice or 3 times a week, not every day. So I think you go through phases and then eventually you come back to your normal self, and that's what happened to me.
Do you like more to exercise or to eat?
Oh, eat, absolutely. Eating so much
That's
better.
right.
But when I exercise, it reminds me of how hard it is to exercise and how much I hate it. So it makes me eat a little bit healthier, and I think a little more when I'm eating and not like stuff my face. So
Yeah, I definitely agree. You know, when you run or track or lift weights or such, and then you come like to check the calories and such, you actually see that
It's
it's
easier to just not eat that ice cream than to
yeah,
exercise. Yeah. Yes.
one ice cream is like, I don't know, 30 minutes of running.
Yes. Yes. I'm like, I don't want to run another 30 minutes. I will just eat one scoop less.
Let's go a bit to a past when we had the actual live audience and everything, concerts and such. You started your career on X Factor Australia and you won it. So how did you feel about it? And especially your first audience hero from Mariah Carey.
Yes. So, yeah, I've been, uh, I actually started off as a concert pianist, classical pianist. I went to university majoring in classical piano. And then after that, I I knew I wanted to sing, and I've been singing as well, but just not professionally. So I did another degree, master's degree in jazz singing, and then yeah, I tried to make a career out of it, but it was really, really difficult to, like I mean, it's still difficult. It's difficult for anybody to make it as an artist and make a living off it. And I think my last resort was to audition for a TV show. And so
Yeah.
that's when I was searching on the internet, like what's around, which TV shows are up for auditions, and I looked at The Voice, and then it was closed. And then there was the X Factor. So I was like, okay, that's a singing show, I guess. So I went for it, and I honestly went in it just not really expecting to win or, finish at the top. Like I just did it because I thought, well, it'll give me some exposure as a singer, and it turned out much, much bigger than I ever
So you didn't
anticipated.
have
So
planned to come there, actually. It was
yeah,
just
my
like
plan,
it
yeah.
was like your second or third choice to apply for show.
Yeah, actually, yeah, I've never said this before, but yeah, I actually didn't really know much about the X Factor, whether it was like a singing show or if it was like Australia's Got Talent where you like juggle and do magic and stuff. Like I had no idea. And I knew about The Voice. I'm like, yeah, I'll try and do The Voice, but then whatever. So it was meant to be like, in hindsight, like everything was meant to be. Um, but yeah, so it worked out for me.
And after that, Eurovision came. So you Australian television actually selected you internally without any pre-selection. Can you tell us something more about it? How did it came? Did you negotiate with them? How was the whole process?
Yeah, so I think at the time my manager was, pitching in for me, like trying to see, like, can Dami do it? It's like, yeah, of course I wanted to do it, but everybody else wanted to do it too. Everyone wants to, yeah, it's Eurovision. So, I, from what I know, I think I wasn't the first choice in that process. There was somebody else, and I don't know how many, but there was definitely one person who was meant to go, it didn't work out, and it came to me. And I've said this many times, but I really believe that it was my fans, the Dami army, who kept on, pushing and supporting me, like on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram. They're like, Dami has to go, and they kept like messaging all the organizers to look at me and recommended that I should, do the job, and it worked.
That was great. So actually everything else was just so smooth. And Sound of Silence. How did that song came to you?
Yeah, so once I got selected to go, we were immediately looking for songs, and um, it was the DNA boys, the two boys who I've worked with before in my previous songs on my albums, they got working immediately, and they sent me this demo, and we were like, oh yeah, this is pretty good. I think at the start it was like, yeah, it's good, but you know, no one was super sure. Like it was a song that we needed to kind of sit on and listen to, and then I was like, okay, I'll put my voice on it. And after I put my voice on it, it felt better. Like I felt like it was my song. This is like the Eurovision song. Yeah, and then after that though, I knew for Eurovision, for it to stand out on Eurovision, like I remember when everybody heard it in the Eurovision community, they were like, oh yeah, it's good, but it's like, you know, there needed to be more. You know, I knew it wasn't enough to push through to the top. So then the live version, in the live
definitely live performance is the most important part.
Yeah, and I knew vocally I had to change things up, and my record label didn't like that. They were like, keep it to the original, don't change. I was like, okay. And then I changed it, and then and people loved it. So I was like, woo!
Yeah, that was good decision.
Yes, and I think so.
And so, can you tell us something more about that experience? Okay, you came, it was in Stockholm, and you came from Australia. It was, I don't know how many hours of flight. And how did you feel? You were a second contestant from Australia ever on Eurovision stage. So how did you feel there? How, did you with who did you hang out there the most?
So the flight was like 24 hours long, you know, several flights, very, very long. I just remember sitting on that plane, really thinking about the pressure, like how well I wanted to do, because previously to my year, Guy Sebastian had done it for the first time. He came 5th, which is such a great achievement. But I was like, I want to beat that, you know. I mean, like, I want to come back with a better result. And on the flight back, I would have another number, and it would stick with me for the rest of my life. So that's literally what I was thinking, like a lot of determination, pressure, and everything, like an Olympian. When I got there, it took a while to get used to the jet lag, because I was like, so tired. There was so much going on, like all these different, you know, people from different countries hanging out. It felt like another world, really, like eye-opening, a new world. I think I did some, you know, parties and Eurovision, you know, I performed at the Eurovision Village and the Euro Club, and like it was all fun, but I also didn't have too much fun because I was so focused. I knew I needed to do well, so I saved a lot of that energy for the actual performance. And there was a million rehearsals, you know, and all those rehearsals take so much energy. Like, I didn't know that. Like, when you go to a rehearsal, you have to go through the whole security, you know, be escorted up to the room, and like there's a million people there. Like, the whole thing each time was so, like very overwhelming. So I think I had to really try and focus my energy on, you know, keeping physical health and mental health and focus so that I don't lose it.
So you definitely came there as a contestant.
Absolutely, yeah. I wasn't, you know, I wasn't fluffing around. I was laser focused.
And you got the reward. You qualified to the final as a winner of semi-final, actually.
Yes, I was so happy. So happy. Like, I think people were more nervous in the semi-final than the final, because, you know, you want to make it to the final and you just don't know where you are in the
and if you got eliminated, you know, the people in your country just start moaning and everything, and
you don't want to be that person.
Yeah, and there is no one from Australia that actually failed to qualify, so you don't
yes,
have
so
that kind
far.
of person.
And we had, like all these people who flew in with me all the way from Australia. So I'm like, if I lose, these people are going to be sitting around for another week doing nothing. So I'm like, I don't want to do that.
And after that, the final came. So, how did you feel when you saw all of these 12 points? You just had literally, I don't know, 15 times 12 points, or
Oh my
you had
gosh.
huge amount of points actually there.
Yeah, that was just the most craziest, exciting, the most thrilling part, I guess. And it just happened so quickly, like this whole build up for the grand final and the performance is done and everyone's relaxed. We're all partying, dancing to Justin Timberlake's performance, And
Yeah,
then
yeah.
when the results came in, it's like, holy, like we just didn't
Okay, no
expect
more
to be.
fun.
Yeah, no more fun. Everyone's like
Yeah,
super serious, like
keep serious.
everyone's going pale, like, and then we kept getting really good results, like 12 points, and the camera just stayed on us, and it was just wow. Like, we weren't really I didn't know what to expect, to be honest. Like, I didn't really imagine that part. I only imagined up to my performance, and then in my brain, I never really thought about this part. So it was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Wow. And I think my team and my entourage, they were like frozen as well because they didn't know what to do if I had won. Like they were all processing like, what happens now? Like, how does this work? And nobody really knew from Australia. Like we're new to this. So yeah, that was very exciting.
Yeah, it was the second year of Australian participation, and how did you feel when televoting results arrived? When Ukraine got you on the first place, so did you feel disappointed or did you feel proud that you managed to make such a great result and everything? I mean, it was so small margin that it's really small, 15 or 20
Yeah,
points.
yeah. So at the time, because all the judges' votes went on for a long time, like 12 points, and we were sitting at the top for so long, and then the televotes came in right at the end, like bam, and then we were dropped down to second place. So it was like, at that moment, of course, we were disappointed for that moment, like,
Yeah.
okay, so we didn't win. Oh, okay, like that. We had to sort of sink in, like let that sink in and process what just happened. So yeah, I was disappointed, I have to say, and really confused about like what happened. But then yeah, I think Australians are still bitter that we didn't win. Like every time I sing Sound of Silence at my concerts, the audience still yell, "You should have won, you were robbed," which I think like that's nice that they really care about it and that they're just supporting me. But at the same time, like I accepted, the result. That's the final result, and
Yeah,
that's what it is. So
that was the first year of that new voting system with separated votes from public and jury, and it was a bit confusing to everyone.
yeah,
I had to explain to all of my friends that were watching with me why Australia is not leading anymore at the end
yeah.
of the day. But you came second that year, and
Hmm.
you told that you want to come back to Eurovision. So can we expect you, and when maybe?
Yeah, so last year at the Australia Decides internal selection, I announced that I was going to, try again in 2021. Of course, that couldn't happen because last year's got cancelled, so last year's Montaigne's going this year. And so for my plan, it just went, it just evaporated.
Yeah, and the song was the Paper Dragon, right? It was
so
planned.
Paper Dragon was, I thought, would have been a really cool song that I was considering as my next Eurovision song, but since everything didn't happen, I released it last year anyway. But yeah, so for me, going back to Eurovision, I mean, I would like to try again, you know, someday. I just, I don't know. I'll have to see. I'm not completely sure about when that's going to be, how much, you know.
And it depends on the song, probably. If you have some song that you really feel that is good for Eurovision, it would probably boost you there.
That's true, yeah. If there's a perfect song, I guess, yeah. But I think, you know, like when I did it for the first time, there was so much that I didn't know. And so I think second time round, like I will be able to enjoy it more, you know, while still focusing on the competition, because like I'm a real, like, I love competitions, I think. I'm very competitive, so I'm like, like focus on the work, but also I'd like to soak up and just enjoy the process and get to know people a bit more, and win it, you know. Nice. So I'm still thinking about it.
On last year's national selection, Australia Decides, you performed the Walk with Me with Mons Zelmerlöw, winner from 2015. How did you feel when you had opportunity? It was like, you know, two Eurovision legends together.
Yeah, that was really, really special, I guess, seeing him again, to record the duet with him and then to perform it at Australia Decides with him in Australia. That was very, very special to have him and to actually perform with him. I think he's a beautiful performer, very much loved by all of us in Australia and, of course, the Eurovision community. So, yeah, reuniting with him was really, really special. And it felt like I was back in Sweden, but then we were in Australia. So
yeah, Mons was host on Eurovision when you took part. So
that's right. Yeah, he was a host, and you know he's a legend. So yeah, to have him come to Australia and do that with me, that was so much fun.
So we are right now experiencing some quite weird times with no concerts and everything else. So can you tell us something more? How do you handle with it, especially for our music industry? These are quite tough times.
It is. It definitely is. And, you know, it's all the musicians, all the, crew that we used to work with, you know, the caterers and everybody that's been involved in the music industry in some way or another, like they've been affected and they've lost their jobs and income. So it's very, very tough. So it's been sad and difficult to watch that. But I think the world is, you know, trying to get back, you know, trying to recover from it. And Australia's, you know, really working to go back into it. We've got, you know, concerts slowly starting again. We doing a festival. I'm doing a festival in April, Blues Fest, and you know, I think we just need to get back into it. Like I really miss going to live shows and of course performing myself and seeing my fans. So hopefully we can all get back to normal and people, you know, there's music going on again.
Yeah, music, sports, everything else. I mean, we can't wait. Here in Serbia, we actually started some things like concerts and everything with, but you know, with masks and distance and everything, it's not, you don't have that feeling, you know.
How's the situation over there? Like how many COVID patients?
Around 1,500 per day, but we don't have.
Gosh!
Yeah, we don't have strict measures because we are having a vaccination process right now, so we are like relieving these measures right now. So I don't know what will go on, but we had curfew like in March and April last year. So, and after that, it was everything a bit different. So yes, we're trying to get used to it. And how is situation in Australia in these terms?
Yeah, there's not many cases. Like in my state, in Queensland, there's at the moment like 0 cases. So we're doing it like pretty good, but there's always restrictions on traveling.
You have strict measures, I saw that.
Very, very strict, yeah. So I guess that's good because we can still do things in Queensland, but you know, we can't travel to other states sometimes. So for musicians, that's really tough because I was to perform in another state in January, and then suddenly the rules kicked in, so I had to postpone, and lots of concerts have to keep getting rescheduled. So it's like, I don't know, it's good that people are kept safe, and you understand, but it's also tough at the same time.
Yeah, I know. We cannot plan anything in like long terms just because of that.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like I would normally plan my career for like 1-2 years in advance, but at the moment only like 1 or 2 months in advance.
1 or 2 days.
Yeah, exactly.
Dear Dami, thanks a lot for this wonderful talk. It was our pleasure, and I hope that you will come back to Eurovision one day and win it. Why not?
Yeah, that'll be fun. And I had a great time chatting to you, so thanks for having me.
Poštovani gledalci, Dami. Znači, ako vam se svidelo ovo što radimo, ajmo like, ajmo subscribe, ajde, znači, budite ljudi, jer smo se dogovorili. Nema smisla, stvarno, ajde. Gasi mešalice, motaj kablove, poz.